Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Assalamu alaikum, my dearest brothers and sisters, and welcome to this episode of Pillars of Islam with me, your sister, Mehwish Qureshi. In the last episode, I began speaking, giving you some details about paradise. And insha'Allah, I will continue in this episode. So as we mentioned previously, there are different levels, maratib, in paradise. And the highest level is called Al-Firdaus. Al-Bukhari narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, فَإِذَا سَأَلْتُمُ اللَّهَ الْجَنَّةَ فَاسْأَلُوهُ الْفِرْدَوْسَ فَإِنَّهُ أَوْسَطُ الْجَنَّةِ وَأَعْلَى الْجَنَّةِ, which means, when you ask Allah for paradise, ask Him specifically for Al-Firdaus, because it is the best and highest place in paradise. The four rivers of paradise spring from Al-Firdaus. That is the river of water, the river of milk, the river of honey, and the river of non-intoxicating wine of paradise. So in the hadith of At-Tirmidhi and others, it is narrated that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ mentioned that there are 100 different levels in paradise, and the distance between one level and another is like the distance between the earth and the first sky. The first sky is very far away from the earth. Everything that we see above us, the sun, the moon, and the stars, all of this is below the first sky. Paradise has 8 different gates, and it has wide walls surrounding it. Amongst these gates, there is one called a Rayyan. On the Day of Judgment, the Muslims who used to fast in this life will be asked to enter paradise through it. After they all enter through it, that gate will be closed, and no one else shall pass through it after that. Although note, a person once asked the Prophet ﷺ, would it be possible that a person enter through all these gates to paradise? The Prophet ﷺ answered, yes. Subhanallah, paradise is the place where people who inhabit it do not experience pain or sadness or illness or stress or getting old or getting tired or death. Every one of the people of paradise experiences enjoyments without an end. Paradise does not come to an end, and the enjoyments in paradise do not stop. A person does not get tired or bored in paradise, and people in paradise do not sleep because they remain enjoying in it every moment. Subhanallah. Now, what are the people of paradise going to look like? Everyone among the people of paradise will be as tall as Prophet Adam alayhi salam. That is 60 cubits tall and 7 cubits in width. All the people who enter paradise will be of that size regardless of their size or shape in this world. All of the people of paradise will be as if they are 33 years old. The men do not have beards in paradise. In other words, the people of paradise do not have any hair on their bodies or their faces except for their eyelashes eyebrows and hair on their heads. This is just as At-Tirmidhi narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, Ahlul Jannati Jurdun Murdun, which means the people of paradise will not have hair on their faces. In other words, no beards or mustaches, and they will not have hair on their bodies. All of the people of paradise are beautiful. They will be made to be more beautiful than what they were in this life. And the least among them would be as handsome as Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam was in this life. There is a place to which the people of paradise go to every week. The man goes to this place, and when he returns to his wife in paradise, she would tell him, "You look more handsome." And he would tell her, "You look more beautiful than before." Subhanallah. The people of paradise, after eating and drinking, do not defecate or urinate, as in they do not wee or poo. Rather, they produce a sweat. But even this sweat is not like the sweat of this life. In fact, it will smell like musk and it will not be dirty. In other words, what they eat and drink doesn't turn into something disgusting like urine and the like. Rather, it goes out of their bodies like musk. And the people in paradise do not spit and they do not blow their noses. If a person wants to visit someone in paradise, he does not get tired. He does not put effort into that. The seat where he sits, it flies and takes him to the other person. He talks with him, and if he wants to go back, he flies back to his home. Subhanallah. Every one of the people of paradise experiences enjoyments without an end. Paradise does not come to an end, and the enjoyments of paradise do not stop. One immediately gets what one desires. Even if a bird is flying in paradise and one desires to eat this bird grilled, immediately it falls in front of him grilled. Then after he eats its meat, the bones get covered again by flesh and feathers, and the bird comes back to life and flies away. Subhanallah. These details are amazing. There are individuals that Allah created them in paradise to serve the people of paradise, and they are called Al-Wildan Al-Muqalladun. They are not among the offspring of Prophet Adam. They are not jinn and they are not angels. Allah created them to serve the people of paradise. And would you like to know the least number of these servants that one human being would have in paradise? Is 10,000. 10,000. The least number of these servants that one human being has in paradise to serve them would be 10,000. Subhanallah. Each one of them carries a platter of gold in one hand and a platter of silver in the other hand. No one, not even a king in this world, would have something like that. Not even 1/10 of it. Ibn Hibban narrated a Sahih hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ described paradise. The Prophet ﷺ first said, هل مشمر للجنة فإن الجنة لا خطر لها, which means, are you ready to put effort to get the reward of paradise? Indeed, paradise does not have something similar to it. the Prophet continued to say, Here وَرَبِّ الْكَعْبَةِ نُورٌ يَتَلَأْلَأ. I swear by the Lord of the Kaaba, it is full of sparkling lights. There's a lot of bright light in paradise. It does not need the light of the sun or the moon. There's no night or day in paradise, although there are signs from which a person can tell that time has passed. So there is time in paradise and people will take breaths, but these breaths will be one after another in a continuous way by the power, will and creating of Allah. And these breaths of the people of paradise will continue forever. If a woman amongst the women of paradise exposed part of herself to this world, then the area between the east and the west would be lit up, subhanallah. Hence, paradise does not need a sun or a moon. The scholars mentioned that if the eyes of the people in paradise had the same strength as in this life, they would be blinded by the lights of paradise, because paradise is brighter than the sun. Therefore, the eyes of the people in paradise will be much stronger. The Prophet ﷺ then said, وَرَيْحَانَةٌ تَهْتَزْ, and fragrant musk. So, paradise not only looks and sounds beautiful, it smells beautiful. The Prophet ﷺ continued to describe paradise and said, وَقَصْرٌ مَشِيدٌ, and paradise has tall castle. It was narrated in another hadith that a believer would have a palace made out of a single hollowed pearl that is 60 Islamic miles high and 60 miles wide, which means it would be bigger than the whole of London. Now, the richest person in the world does not even own 1% of London, whereas a person in paradise will have one palace that is bigger than the whole of that. There are also buildings in paradise. Some of the buildings in paradise are built in a way that one brick is of gold and the other one of silver. And it's narrated that the material holding these bricks together is moss with a very fragrant smell. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned high rooms that if you are on the outside, you can see the inside. And if you are on the inside, you can see the outside. Also, instead of small pebbles on the ground, one will find pearls and rubies. Pearls and rubies. And the ground of paradise will be a very soft yellow saffron. The Prophet ﷺ continued to describe paradise and said, وَنَهْرٌ مُطَّرِدٌ, which means it has continually flowing rivers. The rivers of paradise do not remain still. The rivers of paradise do not remain still, but they continue to move. They have a beautiful smell, a beautiful appearance, and a beautiful taste. There are rivers of water, rivers of milk, rivers of wine, and rivers of honey. The wine is not like the wine of this world. It does not intoxicate and it does not cause headaches. And the rivers of paradise have pure honey that is more delicious than the honey of the bees in this life. The Prophet ﷺ then said, وَفَاكِهَةٌ كَثِيرَةٌ نَضِيجَةٌ وَفَاكِهَةٌ كَثِيرَةٌ نَضِيجَةٌ, and a lot of ripe fruits. There's a lot of greenery in paradise in a way that one would feel happy and relaxed by looking at it. In paradise, there are no seasons for the different fruits. Whatever one desires, one finds it immediately. For example, my dearest brothers and sisters, when one will be sitting in paradise, insha'Allah, we are amongst those, and they desire to eat a fruit, the tree will bend towards him and he will take the fruit. And then the tree will it'll return back to its position, and Allah will create a new fruit in its place. Every tree in paradise has a trunk of gold, and if it moves, then a very nice sound would come from it. It's a sound that people would enjoy listening. Paradise is much greater than anything in this life. It is much nicer than what we can imagine. The Prophet ﷺ said, وَزَوْجَةٌ حَسْنَاءُ جَمِيلَةٌ, which means, and beautiful, lovely wives. In paradise, there is no man or woman who is not married. This is just as Imam Muslim narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, مَا فِي الْجَنَّةِ أَعْزَبُ, which means there is no one unmarried in paradise. The men of paradise will have more than one wife, and none of the wives will feel any jealousy or bitterness towards the other wife. In fact, there will never be any tension and bitterness between husbands and wives. Their hearts will be like one heart. It was narrated that some women and some men were discussing which amongst the two genders will be more in number in paradise. They then agreed to ask Abu Huraira, the companion of the Prophet ﷺ. And Abu Huraira said that he heard the Prophet say that every man will have at least 2 wives. From this it is clear that of course there will be more women than men in paradise. Al-Qadi Ayyad, who lived around 900 years ago, said, from what is apparent, there are more women than men amongst the humans. Hence, most of the people of paradise are women, and most of the people of hellfire are women also. Men will also have wives from amongst a creation called Hurul Ain. Despite their beauty, a human female inhabitant of paradise will have a higher status than the Hurul Ain of paradise. The people in paradise will not have children because they do not desire, they do not wish to have children. The Prophet ﷺ said, Jamilatun wa hulalun, which means there are a lot of beautiful clothes in paradise. It is narrated in another hadith by Al-Bukhari that there is a large tree in paradise called Tuba. The shade of this tree is so big that if a horse rider rode a horse for 100 years, he would not get out from under its shade. Subhanallah. And this tree produces clothes for the people of paradise that are made from silk and other beautiful materials. In this life, trees give fruit. In paradise, there is a tree that produces clothes. Paradise is amazing and much greater than this life. The Prophet ﷺ continued to say, "Fi maqamin abadan, fi habratin wa nadratin," in which means in an everlasting abode that is everlasting delightfulness, and the faces of its inhabitants are beautifully radiant, without any signs of sadness or worries. People in paradise stay in its enjoyment forever, without it coming to an end, without ever getting tired or bored. People will always be happy, without anything ever disturbing or interrupting this happiness. The Prophet ﷺ said, وَنَضْرَةٌ, which means the faces of the people of paradise will be nice and beautiful, with no traces of sadness on them. The people of paradise won't want to sleep. They don't get tired. They don't desire sleep. Sleep interrupts some of their enjoyment. The people of paradise praise and glorify Allah. They recite the Quran whilst they are in paradise. And the language of the people of paradise is Arabic. Now, when the companions heard this description of paradise from the Prophet ﷺ, they said, we are the ones willing to put effort to get this reward. The Prophet ﷺ told them, say, Insha'Allah. Don't just say, we are the ones who are going to work for it, but also say, Insha'Allah. The Prophet ﷺ told the Muslims that to teach them to rely upon Allah. To rely upon Allah in all matters, because nothing occurs except by the will of Allah. The intelligent person, my dearest brothers and sisters, is the one who puts effort in this life to get this reward in the hereafter. And the foolish person is the one who loses this opportunity to get everlasting enjoyment in the hereafter, and instead works for the enjoyment in this life, which is short, interrupted, and accompanied with a lot of hardship, sadness, and even boredom. All of the enjoyment in this world compared to the enjoyment of the hereafter is truly something small. It is like a person who puts his finger in an ocean and then he took it out. And if one looks at the amount of water on this finger compared to what is in the ocean, it's a small amount. This is the enjoyment of this world compared to the enjoyment in the hereafter. The clever person does not lose the hereafter, which is coming closer, just to be a winner in this life, which is coming to an end. Subhanallah. It is mentioned that Allah ordered paradise to speak, and it said, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, which means the pious believers are successful. May Allah make us amongst these pious believers, those who learn the religious knowledge and implement it. And in this series, insha'Allah, I will go through this knowledge, which is an obligation to learn. The knowledge which teaches us the way to paradise. And I hope you can join every week. And if you can't, then listen on YouTube and spread these lessons far and wide so you benefit and likewise others do. And Allah knows best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.